I hope you're hungry because you're listening to Everybody Eats.
Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Everybody Eats podcast. I hope you guys are doing well, staying safe, staying healthy. For those tuning in, make sure you follow us on all platforms. On Instagram at everybodyeats.pod, on Instagram at everybodyeats0, on Twitter. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts, on all platforms. So make sure you tune in. For today's episode, we have a really special guest. We have Mr. Kehinde Moore. Thank you very much for joining us. So Kehinde and I met back, I was a sophomore in college back in my involvement in NABA. So I always talk about NABA on the podcast. So one episode I was talking about how the first conference we went to was in Pittsburgh. So I was like the Pittsburgh conference. So essentially, I believe there was like an event or one of the workshops at the conference. I think they were talking about like consulting or something. And I think you and I think another associate from RSM were there. And I just like walked up to you after because I was like, oh, like I heard you do consulting. Like I wanted to like just learn more about that. Since then, Kehinde, you've been a very big supporter of NABA Queens College, coming out to events almost every year. So I really appreciate that. And yeah, man. So once again, thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah. Thanks, Adam. Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate the consideration, so I'm looking forward to it.
No doubt. All right. So we can start with like a brief intro, background, where you from, what do you do, and then we'll get the conversation on from there.
All right. So my name is Kehinde Moore for all you listeners out there. I went to Florida A&M University, studied business and finance, and also got my MBA some time ago. You're not going to talk about how long ago that was, but I got my first job right out of college, and started working at a Big Four accounting firm, and that job really came through my connections with NABA. And from there, I had always been really heavily involved with NABA when I was in college. It helped me get my first internship, which led to my first full-time position. And then I spent a few years there at Big Four, PwC. Then I moved over to a smaller national firm at RSM, which is, you've heard of the Big Four. RSM is number 5. They're formerly McGladrey. And spent some time there, several years there. And now I'm currently working at an investment bank here in New York City. So still doing the auditing world. I started off as an external auditor, but did a lot of consulting as well when I was with RSM and a little bit when I was at PwC. But now I'm doing more internal audit work at the investment bank that I'm working at right now.
Got it. So one thing you said is that the internship and the job was due to your involvement in NABA. So if you could speak, like, how did you like learn about NABA, and like what was your involvement like when you were an undergrad? Like, how did that start?
Yeah, so my involvement with NABA was the accounting organization at my school was very heavily involved. Had a pretty big NABA chapter. To the point of, I would say, starting off was around maybe 50, 60 individuals. That was my junior year. And I actually called the president. I was good friends with the president of the chapter at the time. And because I heard about the NABA conference, the regional conference in Atlanta is where they host the Southern region. And so I just gave him a call like, hey, I heard about the opportunities. They have a career fair, you can interview for internships, etc. And so I literally, that was the night before they decided to leave. He's like, all you gotta do is pay your dues and you can sleep on the floor in the hotel room. So I did. So I hopped in the car next day with some classmates and went to the NABA conference, and that was pretty much the start of me meeting a lot of people within NABA, whether they were professionals or from other student chapters, and building those relationships. And it wasn't until I actually got into grad school, I got a little bit more involved with NABA, became the vice president of the chapter when I was in grad school, and went to a conference and met, not a conference, but PwC came on campus, and I met one of the campus recruiters. And that's how the relationship formed, which ultimately led me to the job that I got out of college. And it was so crazy how it happened, because I met one of the recruiters at an event on campus, and she drove all the way from like DC to Florida or something like that. And she's like, I want to interview you. let's hop on an interview. And I think the next day or a couple of days later, I was interviewing with her, but she was actually driving in the car while we were doing the interview. And the phone cut off, and I didn't hear from her for like the rest of the day because supposedly her phone had died and she didn't have any car charger and couldn't get. So I just thought, oh, all right, well, maybe I bombed the interview. I don't know. Didn't hear from her for a couple of days, but then come to find out, oh no, I was really impressed, and I'm sorry I couldn't get back to you. But yeah, we want to interview you for some positions. And make a long story short, I got my internship offer, and then ultimately accepted a full-time offer in New York City. And that was all through the involvement that I had with NABA when I was in college. That's where it all started.
Got it. Yeah, I feel like I remember hearing that story one time you mentioned with the phone getting cut off. I think at one of the events we had in school where we had like you on for like interview skills or something like that.
It was just crazy how it happened. You just think you're on an interview with a job that you really want, and something just goes terribly wrong. And I almost chalked it up like, all right, well, if she's not calling, I blew her phone up right after the phone dropped. I blew her phone up at least about 8 or 10 times, and I started thinking, all right, I probably shouldn't be nagging the recruiter. Maybe I did something wrong, but it all worked out.
That's funny. Man, you were vice president too, so you got that. You know how it is.
Yeah. I was a vice president, and we grew the chapter to over 200 members when I was in college, like 200 paid members. Like paid their professional dues and script reporting and all this stuff. You know all about that. So we were a pretty large chapter down south.
That's what's up. So from there, I'm assuming you just stayed involved on your professional career as well. I'm assuming that's how we ended up meeting at like the Pittsburgh conference.
Yeah, I stayed involved when I was at PwC. I got a chance to go back and do some recruiting at my old school, but I didn't really start doing more recruiting in the Northeast region until I went over to RSM, and RSM asked me to be kind of the lead for one of the diversity groups, and actually was the liaison between the firm and NABA. And so I built those relationships with the professional chapter, and that's how I got to go to those conferences where I met you guys. And we built those relationships, and I started going to more schools in the region. Queens College, went to Baruch a couple times, went to York College. So yeah, the professional chapter really helped me kind of meet a lot of people in the Northeast region, like all the schools here in New York.
So, in your opinion, what's like, if any, what's the difference between being involved in NABA in a college setting versus like a professional setting in terms of like, I guess the community and the organization, how it's run?
Yeah. So the professional the school chapter, it's all about everyone's there to try to get internships, try to get full-time offers. So everybody's on their grind and the hustle. It's a lot of similarities. One is very collaborative. You're trying to help other students. Once I got my job or my offer, I got my offer a year before I graduated, right? So I spent the next entire year trying to help some of my classmates and friends, help them find the jobs that they want, looking at their resumes, doing their mock interviews and stuff like that. So and then joining the professional chapter. While I wasn't necessarily involved in the New York professional chapter, I did serve as a liaison between the firm I was at and NABA. So I built a lot of relationships with the people who were in charge of like student relations in New York. So we hosted several events not on campus. We hosted several events at the office, and those were through the collaboration that we did with the New York chapter. We had like a sponsorship with them or something like that, where, hey, we'll invite you guys to give us some names of some students. We'll invite them over for a student office visit to learn more about the firm. Also, they would keep us up to date about the NABA banquets that would happen at the end of the year, or any other type of workshops that they would have for professionals if we needed CPE credits, et cetera. So It's all about professional networking, to be honest. I think when it comes down to is maintain for both, whether you're in school or whether you're professional, it's about maintaining those relationships. You're trying to work those relationships when you're trying to find a job, with recruiters and the people who work at the various companies. But at the same time, NABA is a nonprofit organization, so the professional chapter, these individuals are dedicated with helping students trying to find the jobs that they really want to seek and find, but also helping professionals out as well if they want to advance and move around in their careers too. So networking is big. Relationships are big.
Okay. So yeah, more service based, in a sense. Yeah. Okay.
Definitely.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. So this past October, I had a chance to represent my company at the NABA conference, and it was in Baltimore. And like I was saying, it was like we were mainly there just for the career fair, but I was saying the whole time was like surreal because I was like, man, like I was right on the other side, like one of those
yeah.
like trying to get an internship, like handing out my resume everywhere, and then like I was the one like getting resumes and like giving students tips and stuff like that. So it was really like the lifting as we climb, and it was really cool just being on like the different like being able to experience being as a student and as a professional and stuff. So
yeah, it's definitely a different experience when you're on that other side. When you're trying to find that job, and then we call it, well, you're on the other side of that recruiting table.
yeah,
You're looking at resumes instead of handing them over. It's a big difference.
yeah, for real. So what would you say, or kind of like switching topic a bit, what would you say is some advice that you would give for like graduating students, either like seniors or students who are about to be seniors, or more of like class 2020 when it comes to either like recruiting, or maybe they're looking for an internship, looking for a job, especially in this climate. So what do you think would be some advice that you can give to those students?
I would say the first thing is, of course, to stay positive. I know these are really, really challenging times with, the job market, and, places going on a hiring freeze. And I don't know if you may have had some friends or some colleagues had their offers revoked because of the current climate and current environment. But to tell them to stay positive, there are positions out there, whether they're coming around now or a little bit later, just because of this whole situation we got going on here. It'll come about. Stay positive. The second thing is keep in contact with people. Let people not forget you. Let people remember who you are. And if that just means, simple email or, a LinkedIn message, a checkup, don't fall out of people's, minds. Let them know, like, hey, I'm looking, I'm still interested. If you have anything, if you just want to talk, put yourself out there. Uh, don't let people, forget your name or who you are. So make sure that you stay, in the back of people's minds. So you don't know what could happen later on, down the line where you may need someone, a contact, or it's all about relationships. So whether you need a contact or someone you worked with, a colleague, or a recruiter that you met at a NABA conference years ago, you never know who's in the position, to help you. So stay in contact. I would say those are kind of the two main things. Another thing you can always keep, make sure you stay sharp on your skills. One, as an example, I don't know if you guys heard of these free classes that a lot of colleges are giving out right now. Have you heard about them?
Not too much.
Like online classes, Harvard and like all the Ivy League schools and other various schools. Like you can take a course on a number of different things, from coding to, if you want to learn, statistics, financial engineering, and get a like maybe some type of certificate. Show that you are still dedicated to learning your field and learning your craft, even though you may not have an active offer right now. Keep studying for that CPA exam or whatever other certification that you're trying to get. Show that you're active, so that when you do get that chance to have an interview, you have a leg up. You can show that, hey, even though I've don't have an offer right now, or my offer was revoked, I knocked out a couple parts of the CPA exam, or I took these courses so I can be really sharp on the IT field of things, or maybe I wanted to learn some AI topics or some coding topics and things like that. Just stay up to date of what's going on.
Nah, that's that's really good. It sounds like you're gonna say something.
No. He covered it.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say like that's not even if it's not necessarily just for a job interview itself, but those are just good skills to just keep, good skills to have, especially when you say like coding and like AI and stuff like
Yeah.
that is now slash the future, right? So that's like definitely great skills to just have like in your repertoire and like just continue like your professional development. So even outside of if you're looking for a job right now, like that's advice anybody could take. So I think that's real cool.
Yeah.
Definitely. So on that note, we'll shift from the first segment to the second segment. We'll go into the quote of the day. So Eden, when you have that, you can read it.
If people say you're crazy, then you're on the right track.
That's kind of like that Steve Jobs poster we had in the NABA.
Yeah.
If people say you're crazy, you're on the right track. Okay.
Yeah.
Dent?
Young dude. He actor, artist. So actor, he's a rapper as well.
Trevor Jackson?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how you took that wild guess. There's like a lot of other people.
Got it.
There's a lot of other people. You can't be answering, bro. It's not even set up for Bensky to win. He's just probably watching my phone.
You said actor, and artist. That was the first person that came to mind.
Got who else we got? All right, we got like 50 Cent. You don't count.
He's an actor and he's an artist too. That's true. But nah, I don't know. That was the first one that came to mind. So Trevor Jackson. Can you say it one more time?
So if people say you're crazy, then you're on the right track.
Yeah, honestly, that's facts, man.
Yeah.
I've been following like Elon Musk a little bit more on social media. Just like honestly, like
He's
I'm
outrageous.
just very intrigued in Tesla, right? So obviously Tesla's always in the news. So I kind of just started like following him a little bit more. And like the dude can seem kind of crazy, but at the same time, you think of like the things that he's building, and it's like, man, like he really is like on to the next. Like he's just like really very like he's very big on like trying to send people to Mars. Like he's been on like the future, like thinking about the future. And he thinks that like, you could probably think like, yeah, he's kind of crazy, but he's onto something, right? He's onto something. So, yeah.
Nah, I still think he kind of look a little off it to me. But he definitely is onto something. He just a little out there for my liking.
Oh.
He's bold. Yeah, he's
bold. That's the word. Yeah.
He may look at it as, people look at it as probably too risky. He looks at it as, hey, he's just trying to push the envelope.
Exactly. So like to that extent, like I respect him to that extent because what really made me respect him actually is not even to talk about Elon Musk, but what really made me kind of like respect him, but was pretty funny was when he did the Tesla truck, and then he took the hammer to the window. I don't know if you saw that video where they displayed the Tesla truck and he took the hammer to the window to show that it was like pretty much like bulletproof or like it can't break. And then like once he like this is in front of like mad people, so like he takes the hammer to the window and breaks in front of everyone. He's like, oh. He's like, well, we're gonna have to go back to the drawing board, right? But I don't know. To me, I'm like, I feel like some people would take that like a huge embarrassment, and like he's the type of person like, all right, well, like we just gotta get right back to it, right? So I was like, I kind of respect that like mentality a little bit. And like I don't know, you think of like other people, like I'm sure Steve Jobs had that similar quote that we had. I'm sure people thought Steve Jobs was crazy for the iPhone and like everything. You think of like artists, like popular artists, Kanye is always talking about like people thought he was crazy, but he was always like on to the next, right? So I guess it's facts.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of times when you think of, I'm trying to remember the show that I was watching, and I can't even remember, but it was something along the lines of people like making headwaves of things, like creating something great, like creating Google or the Wikipedia site, or maybe some type of product that people love and buy. They put their all into it. They took risk, and they probably ran into 9 times out of 10 telling them, why are you doing this? It's not going to work. You're going to fail. But they, you don't listen to that. You don't listen to all that negative stuff. goes one ear out the other. You just keep doing, what you're passionate about, and boom, now all of a sudden you can own, Tesla and be, have billions of dollars like Elon Musk and talking about sending people to Mars and stuff. And I don't know if you heard of was he trying to build the Hyperloop or something from, he's trying to build the Hyperloop from LA to San Francisco, the train that goes like, high-speed train that'll go like 250 miles an hour or something like that.
Yeah.
Because we don't have anything like that here in the U.S.
In the U.S., like in other countries, that's like a normal thing.
Yeah, he's trying to bring it here, and he it's it can't be done here. We don't have the infrastructure, blah 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 blah. But he's not listening to all that.
Yeah, exactly. He's gonna try and find a way. So yeah, I don't know. I respect that mentality. Sure. So on that, any last words on that before either me repeat it?
Nope.
All right. So can you say it one last time?
All right. So, quotes by Trevor Jackson. If people say you're crazy, then you're on the right track.
Got it. All right. So now we're going to segue into our last and final segment. So this, again, is going to be a little bit more geared towards students, like, for example, class of 2020, trying to get into the finance field. So I wanted to kind of speak about, like, how have you seen COVID affect, like, the finance industry, right? I know within it, there's, every kind of sector of it kind of got hit a little bit different. I know you're more in the accounting space. I'm more mutual funds, not more investment space, but I'm sure there's obviously been effects, felt all throughout. So I want to see from your experience, like, what have you seen like really change, whether it's, the industry itself, whether it's like the working environment, the technology, and like all that stuff.
Yeah. So there's some noticeable changes in the banking finance world. I would say most notably, of course, a lot of people are working from home right now. So that's a whole different, kind of aspect of the world for some people. Some people, there's some jobs out there where people work from home, but there are, plenty of jobs where, you're at the bank, you're in the office, your managers are there, your colleagues, your peers. It's, you go there to perform your task, but you also learn there. You also develop, relationships. Some of your best friends you could probably meet at work. I have some great friends over the years that I met, at work. You don't get to see them as much when you're doing, working by yourself in a room. You don't get to go to company events. All that stuff is shut down. Happy hour socials, all that stuff shut down right now. So from a social standpoint, there's some changes, right? Which has actually been, I think there's some articles online that's talking about a lot of people who are becoming depressed just by working at home. Not being at work. You would think being at work all the time would probably make you depressed, but now it's being at home, not away from your colleagues and your work besties and best friends and all of that. Like that takes a toll on itself too. So that's one of the, I guess, social aspects of it. Yeah, the technology is definitely a huge piece. In the banking sector where I work, I mean, a lot of people are working from home. So what does that mean? It's how do you maintain business as usual, but you're not in the same environment, right? How do you still open customer accounts? How do you still help people if they have disputes and they're not coming into the bank, or, they're not, well, they can still call on the phone, but they're not coming into the bank to make deposits and stuff like that. How do you continue business as usual from home? You have to develop all types of protocols and controls to make sure things operate smoothly. There was I saw a survey from a number of CEOs, and what are their like main concerns over this, this current environment when it comes to doing business. They're thinking about their people, they're thinking about the technology capabilities and the aspects. Can they continue to do what they normally do with everybody from home? Do they have the infrastructure to do it? Some places don't. Some places are really struggling right now because they may not have been prepared for this type of disaster or this type of working environment, right? Another thing is come up is, okay, fraud when it comes to banking. Now that the people aren't, don't have their direct supervisor above them or hovering down on them, are they still doing things as they should in a remote environment? So there's some fraud aspects, technology aspects, the social aspects. There's a number of different things that really are affecting how people work. And it's been tough. Like I would say for myself, I was being in public accounting, I would go to maybe some clients a couple times a week. Then I'd go to the office, and then maybe one day a week I work from home. And sometimes it's really easier to get things done when you go to your clients, or it's easier to get things done when you're working on something and you got to go to the office. You have those distractions aren't around. But now, like the people who are working at home, they have kids, like they have to deal with that. Their kids aren't going in school, aren't going to daycare, aren't in school.
Yeah.
They have to manage that whole environment now. And, like a lot of people have mentioned that they're working longer in a work from home environment. Like they're working longer because, that 1 hour, 30-minute, 1 hour commute, twice a day, that's, maybe 1 or 2 hours out of your day. And some people actually just, plug their headphones in and ride the train home and just, relax. But now people are waking up earlier. People are working that extra hour later because they know you're at home. You're by your computer. You can't go nowhere. You can't go anywhere else. So like that's being stressful to people. People are actually saying that they're working more and they're working harder because of this. When, I guess they thought, you work from home. That's supposed to be the easy time, right? That's supposed to be when things aren't so bad. You just put your headphones in, head down, and work. But like, no, it's really a grind.
Definitely. So definitely like personal experience. It's funny being on like certain calls, right? And like you're on calls with like a manager, right? And then all of a sudden you just see like kids in the background and it's like, oh, like, sorry, I got this going on. And it's like, you realize, like you said, like a lot of people sometimes they'll like quote unquote like escape, or like, they leave home to go to work. It's just a different environment. And then, like you said, like that commute home before they have to deal with that family life. Now, literally it's like, all in one right now, like every day. So I've seen like it personally affect people kind of like, yeah, like I'm ready to go back. Like
Yeah.
getting kind of crazy, but it's been a funny adjustment, and also seeing certain places that weren't. I think God, like where I work, they did pretty good job of like transitioning. But I know a bunch of other places that, for example, like where my mom worked, right? She was saying how no one was prepared. Not like they're like they only had like 2 IT people for like the entire like company to be working, and then all of a sudden now everyone needs computers, needs to learn how to sign on, and it's like they were not prepared. So it's just funny seeing like some companies how people in the industry dealt with it, and how that leads to productivity. Right, my brother was very stressed, and he was like, work from home like lowers productivity. But I don't know. I feel like it kind of depends. I feel like if possibly, I haven't seen any numbers, but you're saying like people are working more. I wonder if that actually leads to increase. Do you know if that's if productivity has increased? Do you know if like you've seen that?
And well, I can't speak for like every places, but I could think that when I was working when COVID first hit, I definitely was working more. So I think my productivity went up a bit. At least the initial phases, and then I actually switched companies during the middle of COVID. So I had to do a whole onboarding thing, and actually just started a couple weeks, actually 2 weeks ago now. I've been at my new company, so having to onboard remotely, getting my laptop in the mail and not putting it together, but signing on and learning all the systems, and then of course something's not going to go right. So, I get my directions. Oh, you should be able to log into this system. I try to log in. Oh, you're not authorized. So
no access.
No access. So then what do? You can't go to an IT desk. You got to call them, and who knows how long that's going to take. So I ran into that a number of times during my onboarding process. Of some things that I didn't have access to, that I just had to wait a day. Or I had to wait for people to finish meetings because they didn't get a chance to meet them face to face in person. They have their own workload and things like that. So it's been really interesting. But I think a lot of places, there's some places that have been prepared. Some people do work from home quite a bit, and so now just like, can they do it? How long can they do it for consistently? Some people aren't going. Some companies, already talked about, they're not sending their employees back till 2021, I think, right? So can you work from home for 6 months and you never really worked before? Like, is that going to take a toll on the way you work? Is it going to be just too much, especially if you got kids and everything? Like, what is it going to mean? But we're in the middle of it right now, so there's nothing we can do about it, but just take it one day at a time.
It's going to be interesting to see how new hires are going to navigate it, internships, those virtual ones. And honestly, I think, especially I guess in the case of new hires, networking is going to look real different, virtual happy hours. Energy is not the same, through computers. I mean, look at what we're doing right now. So it's not, it's not going to be the same at all. And some people who, I've worked with you, for 6 months, let's say this carries on to 2021, but I've never met you in person so far. So it's going to be real interesting to see, like, how maybe networking might evolve due to this, networking might change, but it's going to be real interesting to see what the future holds in terms of that.
Yeah, I have some colleagues right now that, I mean, they kind of mentioned to me when I started, like, oh, well, we may be back Labor Day, or now it's probably looking like December or January. So I'm going to literally work with them for about a half a year. And then January comes and they be seeing in the office, oh, hey, nice to meet you for the first time.
Yeah.
We've been working together for 6 to 7 months already.
Yeah, definitely. Because like chemistry, I've been seeing the importance of kind of like team chemistry and everything, just like seeing like the importance of like getting along as like, that collaboration, getting along as like a team. But like it's different when it's in person, right? You're working with someone, like you see, like kind of like you feel that their energy, their vibe, and when it's like through a computer, right? So I feel like you can argue now work kind of becomes a little bit more mechanic, and less like, because me personally, I like the office. I like to socialize, right? I like to talk, I like to like interact, and then like once you take all that away, kind of work becomes just more, like I said, like mechanic instead of and way less, like person to person. So when it comes to new hires, it's funny. Like we had an event at work like 2 weeks ago with all the summer interns, and we were some of the previous summer interns. We were there and we were just giving them advice about like what things pretty much can we advice of like how are they kind of experience a summer internship but remotely, right? And like it was kind of hard. We were like, dang, like you're not gonna go through like all the fun stuff that we did, but like that doesn't mean like be discouraged. I was trying to tell them like, hey, everyone's if it's like Zoom or WebEx, like use those platforms to try and network to the best of your ability. It's not going to be the same as grabbing coffee with someone or like break room or like talking at their desk, but if you could still try and schedule a one-on-one with someone, at least if it's just like 30 minutes to an hour or something like that, you can still network in the office. It's not the same, but it's better than nothing.
Yeah, you probably have to send a few more emails and, like you said, hop on a few more video calls. So I just wonder, I kind of wonder, do people really like doing video calls? Some people, all right, I'm gonna have to do my hair, I put a shirt on. Some people are really just roughing it while they're working at home, right? And then you have a video call, and all of a sudden you got to kind of at least put on a button-up shirt or something, right? Or a collared shirt or something. You got to look presentable. But like, yeah, to your point, being in the office, socializing, you have those buddies that you go to lunch with, or that person that you walk by their desk and you see them sitting there. Oh, you'll stop by and chit chat them for a little bit, or maybe an admin that can give you all the good information going on in the office. All the tea or whatever. All that stuff kind of just is put on hold right now. But this will pass, and I'm trying to be optimistic that things will get back to normal. We just don't know when.
Yeah, soon, but I think it's definitely a learning experience for everyone in it. And I guess this like wave of employees, class of 2020, like they're gonna have stories. Like they're like these like some of the first, at least in my industry. I mean, some tech industries like working from home, like you said, and like virtual offices and stuff like that. Like that's normal for them. So for some tech companies and like, companies who do that, but for those who don't, this is hopefully a once in a lifetime, type of thing, hopefully. Right.
Yeah.
But, that kind of like questions like, moving forward, if, for example, if for a company, their employees are working from home and they do it quote unquote productively, does this mean that when things do quote unquote go back to normal, do I even need to be in the office? Like if we just prove that we can work, fairly well for the past, COVID's been going on since about February, March, say for 5, 6 months, right? We just proved we could do it for 5-6 months. Does that mean I even have to go back into the office? What does that mean for like, employment? What does that mean for companies with like, say, small offices and things like that? It makes you wonder, like, maybe we don't need a small office for only 10 people, work from home,
Yeah. I think it's going to come down to, there's been talks about that, like, or what industries are, going to go completely remote now that they see they can do it. If there's a way to measure productivity, and at the end of the day, what are we all working for, or most of us, what's that bottom line? If companies see that we'll just make more money with people in the office, we'll be better, we'll be more efficient, then they'll probably start bringing people back. But I think you'll see a lot more people having the opportunity, or at least the option of working from home.
Yeah.
I think I would be in a position where I would want to go in the office a little bit, but then there are definitely some times like I may want to work from home. I know sometimes when it's pouring down, raining outside, like I'm not trying to walk to the train, right? Or when it's cold, like in wintertime, I'm not trying to walk outside. It was blazing hot, like it is now. Like I'm not trying to walk a half a mile to the train and make that commute where I can just roll over and turn the laptop on and get some work done.
That's a fact. Yeah, I think companies are just gonna have to be more lenient, or just more accepting, or just more like geared to that. Maybe like half and half. You think of like with college, right? Sometimes for a college course, you can take like half online, half in person, right? You have those like optional courses like that. So maybe that could be the future of like office work, where things just become, more options for remote and more options for working from home.
I mean, what would you guys rather do? Would you rather work in the office, go in, but also have the option to work from home every now and then?
Yeah, I mean,
it's a balance, right? It's a balance.
Yeah, it's a balance. Because me personally, like you said, I feel like I prefer like the more social aspect of the office, just so I could just like see and talk to people. That's just me personally, right? But then again, there are mornings where it's like I have no interest in leaving that building, right? I have no interest in stepping out and going, and like I would just rather just go to my table, boop, sign in, and I'm there. So I think definitely like maybe like half a week, type thing. For me that would be like a really good balance. But then also, the remote work is cool because it's like, I could go travel,
Yup.
I can go travel to, visit a friend in Houston. I can go to LA for a week and technically work from home, and I still have all the nights to go hang out, and like I don't have to take vacation days, right? I don't have to take off. I'm still working. All I need is internet access realistically. So
yeah, if I was earlier in my career, I definitely, like right now, I probably would not be in New York. Working from home, I'd probably be like on a beach somewhere.
Yeah.
Family down in Florida. I'd be in California. I'd be somewhere. I still be getting my work done.
I know a friend who did that. He flew out to Miami at like 10 at night, got there, was partying till like 4, woke up, started his work day at 9.
Wow.
So y'all, yeah.
I just turn the video camera off. That's it.
And maybe when things get back to normal and people start working from home, I might still, people might still do that. Travel, for a few days, just travel outside of working hours, knock your work out during normal days, and then, enjoy nights maybe somewhere else. Or you can be somewhere where you can enjoy the weekend.
Yeah, definitely. So I think it will definitely be a change.
I think initiatives like flex time and stuff, like flex time or 410, I think they'll, even if, let's say, they decide to scrap work from home for a little bit because everybody got enough of it. But I think initiatives like flex time and all that, less like low, I guess, more free days in the week, I think those are really going to, take off when we get back in the office, because it's doable, now it's doable. So if we did this and we didn't, jump off a cliff, we can definitely, we can definitely try these out and give it a shot. That's my hope, personally. I'd love for like a 410 or whatever they come up with, but
like customized work hours.
I think right now workers have, people have a little bit of power right now, because you can say, hey, I'm not comfortable going in, and no one's going to really, fight that.
Nah, come catch COVID.
Right? And then you got to come in, like, forget your health or whatever. Like, we need you. if I know you're not, the office is not taking precautions, people don't want to get their family sick and all that stuff. Some people really got hit hard, so they got every reason in the world not to want to leave the house right now or go into an office where they, where all that stuff is going on. I recall my last company where there was some talks, some emails going around about these floors need to be clean, so everyone work from home. Read between the lines, like somebody may have caught something or come in contact, but so work from home, these are going to be clean. Like it's going to be that close to you. You don't want to take a chance.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll see, man. I know it's definitely going to be interesting. So I was gonna say, I think we kind of like covered this a little bit before, but I kind of want to emphasize again, for class of 2020, I guess, like, what are some skills that you could say from this that they should either start building now, or if it's college students still in college, like, what do you think, considering the future of business, considering the future of this industry, what are some skills that they should be thinking about and doing now?
Two things that come to mind. One is, of course, because of this whole situation, technology is more dependent on than ever before, right? So the applications and the systems that your company may use to get work done, learn them inside and out. These could be applications that the company has made, or Zoom. You're learning how to do Zoom. If your manager or somebody comes up to you and say, hey, we need to set a meeting for 20 people, we're going to have video, we want to do this and do this presentation. Hey, learn how to do that so you can be the one to step up. I would say, of course, continue learning your industry, your business, keeping up with what's going on. Project management skills are so vital right now because we're working in this environment. We want to be as efficient as possible. You really want your project management skills to be on point. And that goes from, whatever projects or tasks that you have, especially if you're working with a team, you have deadlines, making sure that things are flowing smoothly because you're not doing things as they were done before. You're not in the office where you can grab everybody in the conference room or swing by somebody's desk to give them an update or stop by, a stakeholder or a client's office or their desk where, if they work with you. You can't do those things right now. So being able to project manage and make efficient use of your time is so critical right now. So that and technology are just the biggest things. Keep learning technology. Keep learning, how to use whatever applications your job is making you use, but also even things that are not specific to your job, like a Zoom thing. Make sure that you know those things inside and out. You can just be as efficient as you can. Specifically for like banking industry and stuff like that, tools like data analytics, we've heard about that all, a lot before. Learning those things that'll just give you that edge. What's the newest technology coming out? What's helping people work faster, more efficient? Learn those things, using Tableau and IDEA and Alteryx and things like that. So project management and technology, those are the big things right now.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I think you're on mute.
I'm on mute, my fault. I was gonna say, definitely, that's definitely some gems. I just have to take note of that. Just seeing, because now that I'm thinking about like of my own experiences, I'm like, yeah, that's definitely skills. And project management, I think about that. That's just really, I've been learning, that's really like people management, and like, my mom would always, she's like a supervisor at her job, and she always tells me the importance of, knowing how to work with people, and being able to get, multiple people, working on something together, and just like managing people and like knowing people's personalities and things like that. So like when I think of project management, especially like lately, I see really like how those skills are important, whether it's, having people with the technical skills, or, having the ability to, use X amount of people on a certain project and be able to, help everyone, do their task so it can get done. And it's definitely easier in an office in order to do that. But, having these same projects go on while it's going to be virtual, like it's definitely not the same. So I'll definitely see how that, like those skills are important.
Yeah, project management is so huge. Planning, scheduling, when you have 20 or 30 people meetings, people got jobs that they're doing, their calendars may be blocked off. People are taking time off. People have adjusted schedules because of, family situations. It's a lot. It's a lot to really work around. So those are just a couple of things. I'm trying to think of some other things off the top of my head. Networking is even different right now, right? So you got to network a little different. You got to call a little bit more. You got to send a little bit more. You got to send a few more emails than you normally would. You can't just swing by somebody's desk anymore. Just the little things, you got to take it an extra step further.
Yeah, like you said, technical skills, really come back and I think, maybe hopefully the teamwork might get more cohesive if that's the case, but we'll see, like you said.
Yeah, definitely some skills to be working on. So like I said, yeah, it's definitely interesting being in it, and then now trying to help prepare yourself for the future, even for workers right now who are still having a hard time to adjust. This is just still great advice, to keep in mind. But on that note, that concludes the third segment. Does anyone have any final remarks, any last pieces of advice, any more questions?
No.
Well, I would say just, stay positive. This thing will one day be over. Now, how the working environment is going to look afterwards, who knows? Are we going to be much more remote than we've ever been, or are things going to go back to normal? Like, more people just going back into the office because either they want to, or maybe they're instructed to. We don't know, but I think this stuff will blow over. It'll blow. I won't say it's going to blow over, but we'll get back to not living in a pandemic environment one day. We don't know when, but we just gotta hang tough.
Definitely. So on that note, thank you very much, Kehinde. Thank you very much for that talk and for that advice. For those listening, class of 2020, hope you guys are taking it in. And some of these tips don't just apply to if you're working finance. A lot of these tips can happen if you're working in any type of working environment. So I don't think you just have to be in business for this to work. Project management and technology, that's across way different industries. Like I said, my mom, she works in health, right? And these are the same skills that apply there. So these can apply to any sort of profession. And so make sure you're tuning in. New episodes dropping every week. Hope you guys are staying safe, staying healthy, wash your hands, wear your mask. Wear your mask. Yeah. Wear your mask.
Not a chin strap. Not a chin strap.
Wear
your mask.
Mask.